Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you want the secret sauce behind brands that stick and convert? You're going to want to pay attention to this episode. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. All right, business bros, from Fortune 500 giants to bootstrapped startups, this brand expert knows what it takes to cut through the noise. He's the guy entrepreneurs call when they're done wasting money on fluff and ready to build a brand that actually converts. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Tyler Dunagin. All right, Tyler, welcome to the program, man.
Man, what an intro. I need that hype all the time.
That's what I'm talking about. Now you have the ability to clip it, dude. After the show, I'm going to send you the full audio, full video. It's our gift to you. You're going to be able to use it however you like. Plus, I'm going to send you like this AI clipper, Opus Clips. We're affiliated with them. And so you'll be able to take this whole episode, clip that little one segment, and then make it part of your ringtone in the morning when your alarm goes off.
Love it. I will. I'll send it to you. I'll let you know how it goes. I love it.
Perfect. All right, man. Let's start with the intro. Give me a little bit of background. How'd you get into marketing and branding?
Yeah, so just in general, just always been an entrepreneur, always up to something, deep sense of curiosity around everything and anything and everything. I don't really have like a set thing that I'm into. I'm just curious how things work, and I'm curious if there's a better way of doing things. And from flipping houses early on to running management companies to now, running my companies today where I have multiple brands, it kind of just sticks with you. You try to resonate with people and communicate with them. And a lot of that is just how you're saying it, who you're saying it to, marketing 101, communication 101, all that's the same. And I have made a career so far, I'm 35, hopefully it keeps going. I've made a career so far talking to people, communicating, and I realized that marketing and branding is the best way to do that.
Gary Vee said it first to me anyways, where it stuck. And he's like, you're a marketing company first, everything else second. And that kind of really stuck with me. It's the reason why I even started the podcast in the first place. I had no real marketing material going out, no content being made. Started doing this and episode 1409. So it's kind of worked, man. It's built a brand. It's allowed me to establish myself, get my name out there, and more importantly, learn from so many great entrepreneurs like yourself, dude. I've learned a lot. You've worked with a lot of different companies now, built your own. What do you think is the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make when they try to start building their brand?
When they first start building the brand, they have so much that they want to tell you about them. And that's great. I know in a nutshell, that's what you have to do. But I think a lot of people, they lose sight of who's receiving the information. What do they have? What are their needs? How do you talk to them? Are you trying to ignite a response? Are you trying to connect? Are you trying to solve a problem with them? Right. And I think so many times we're so excited as entrepreneurs, as early marketers, as whatever else it is, we hold a lot of assumptions that what we're saying is super clever, creative, and it resonates. And sometimes we just really need to stop and remember to speak the language of the person we're actually talking to. And a lot of times we're entrepreneurs for a reason. We want that energy. We want, hey, look what I built. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. It's so easy to try to overshare and get lost in that high energy. Every now and then we got to tap the brakes and make sure that we're communicating effectively. And that's both ways, not just one.
So you feel like it's sometimes early on, it's kind of an ego thing. I feel like when we first start off building a brand for ourselves, whether it's our company, we often think it's something like our logo, and it sort of becomes maybe our last name or whatever the name that you end up putting and attaching to it. But branding is more than that, right? Branding is more than just the logo. It's more than just the name you have. What is a brand actually when it comes to being in practice?
Yeah, 100%. Like a brand is the impact that you make, right? And it's hard to explain in just a few words. The brand is who you are, but it's way more than that. It's how you resonate with other people and what do you do for them, right? And that's where the messaging and the marketing comes in. It's so important. A brand name is kind of worthless without the end user in mind, right? I think of my companies and the brands that I have built. Some of these are so stagnant and just to the point. but in a weird way, they resonate so much. Example, some of our brands, apartmentpainters.com, apartmentflooring.com. In a nutshell, those spell out exactly what we do and who we are and who we serve, right? And I think of some of these other category brands that are completely different space, they generalize whatever else it is. They have to go through a lot of communication to articulate what they do. And creative names are great. That's fine. The messaging and all that, amazing. For me, I like to be a little bit more specific. Take out the guesswork on who we are, what we do, who we serve. And I really like to communicate and just drill down. Hey, what are your needs? Here's how we solve it for you. So branding, all of it comes full circle. When you start off, that's the one thing that you have when you talk to your friends about, hey, check out this company I'm making. I'm calling it XYZ, right? And you talk about that. You have meetings about it. You pitch that. That's on every letterhead that you give out. It's on your website, all of these things. But sometimes we stop to forget, what are we actually conveying here? And so in a weird way, it's everything to you. But at the same time, if that is completely selfish and inward, you're going to miss the point entirely.
Dude, it's so true. It takes so much money to develop a brand that nobody knows what it actually means. Nike, for example, great brand we know now, just do it. But how many millions of dollars did they have to spend to develop that brand and build it to what it is? How many athletes had to wear it? How many endorsements did they have to get? All kinds of stuff to build that brand. It's a lot easier. Like when my drain gets clogged, I can go get Drano. Right? It's in the name. It's right there. I know exactly what the product does. There's no guesswork there. And all the other products that do the same thing, I think it's like Plum X and I don't know, whatever, but they all have the same type of name, right? It's built in. It's a lot easier to move forward once you have that established, especially if it's built in your name, the clarity is there. So when should a founder start thinking about branding? Like day one or after they have like a product market fit?
Yeah, honestly, I think that anybody that has gone through the ringer a few times as an entrepreneur who has had success, failure, repeat with any sort of endeavor, company, mission, whatever else it is, they will tell you they start off first with the concept and the name. Okay, here we go. But then sometimes you can tell where they fall off at, because unless you can seriously articulate, okay, here's what we do, here's how we do it, here's our processes, here's how we cure it for clients, here's how we go full circle. A lot of the times when you start off, when you get down this pathway, you realize, okay, hey, I need to pivot here a little bit. I need to adapt here a little bit. And a lot of people think whiteboarding and they think about, okay, here's how big the TAM is, the SAM, all these things. And they stop and they don't ever integrate, okay, what are we actually delivering here? Like, how are we making an impact? And so if that's all the way thought out, and a lot of time really founders or anybody that's too excited, they only think about that first half of it and never stop to really think about what's next, et cetera. So for me, it's all in the same. So I come up with a solution. Okay, what sort of impact am I trying to make? All right, what's the need? Can I build a marketable business around this? Can I build a viable thing around this? Can I articulate a message around this? Right. And then I go full circle, and it doesn't just stop or start at, okay, what's my name? How's it look? How's it sound? Go. It's always, okay, does this communicate with the clients? Does this actually speak to what we do? Are we boxing if we go with this? You really have to go full channel on this thing to think about the impact that you make. And we call it the currency, or the transmission of currency and data. If a dollar can't go full circle, if communication can't go full circle, you're going to have an issue. What I mean by that is, a lot of the times these brands will start off with the names, or early founders or entrepreneurs, whatever else it is, they start off with that, here's my business name, go. And you can tell where they stop on that circle. You need to test pilot it and all those things a few times in order to be effective. For me, I always kind of live in my head around what sort of impact can we make. How viable is this? How big's the market? What am I trying to do with this business? What's my goals with it? Depending on that, then I'll go back to the whiteboard and I'll say, okay, does this still speak to the who we're trying to be, what we're trying to represent? I just did this with the garage business, by the way. I started off calling it something else, and I went through a whole series. I tested out the SOPs. Here's what we can do to provide value. And before you know it, SOPs and operations change things a little bit. I go back to the original name that I came up with, and hey, this does not speak to anything that we just mentioned. Back to the drawing board. So to answer your questions, a combination of having a good idea of what you do and how you're going to do it and what it could be, and also knowing what your identity is and who you're trying to talk to. So you need to have both of those things, but you really need to envision full circle before you just say, here's the name, go.
And that's that in marketing 101, right? You're going to come up with an idea you think is amazing, and then you're going to go and test it, and you're going to realize, wait, the market is telling me something else. I need to come back. I need to regroup, and you're going to change it. And then you go out and test it again, and it just over and over and over again. Your agency's worked with a bunch of different companies, startups, some big companies. How does your strategy differ from working with big companies or small companies? Does it differ, or is it the same?
Now, so a lot of it always comes back down to identity. I think the thing that differentiates us, no matter what we do, no matter what business we're in or what we're trying to pursue, we're not only just creatives, we're also the operators. I've gone for full circle before. And so for us, obviously marketing budgets, ad spend, all those things differ. But at the core of things, when you look at the humanity of things, when you look at the messaging, when you look at transmitting what you do, and for example, a supply business that we're close with. They joke all the time that they sell toilets. They're massive. They don't tell you that that's what they do best. They talk about their people and the impact that they make, and those sort of things resonate with everybody. And that's what I try to articulate in every brand that I build, everything I'm associated with. It's always more than what's immediately in front of us. It's always the immeasurables that are behind the scene and trying to communicate that. And so a lot of the times, it doesn't matter if you're big or small. Yes, there's differences there. Yes, there's budget differences, and one brand might be able to spend $100 million to do awareness or what have you, but at the heart of it, it always comes back down to the people component, the impact component, what you do. And if those things show, if it speaks to specifically what you're trying to do and convey and trying to help the end user out, that will win. And that's what we try to resonate with, and that's what we try to stick to.
Yeah, that end user, you can't forget him. You get so caught up sometimes in your own brand, your own SOPs going on in the business, trying to get clarity, trying to get efficient, and you forget that avatar, that end consumer that you have. That's the important person right there. At the end of the day, that's the one that's going to make the difference. Now, some companies are operating and they're getting by, but if they could make like a little change, it would make a huge difference in their company. What's one piece of branding that most businesses maybe overlook that could instantly elevate their presence?
Right away, I think about humanizing it. Put more human in your messaging. Less. Yes, it's important to have trigger words and do a lot of AB and all these kind of things. At the end of the day, people make decisions. Even if you're selling to a business, there's people in that business making decisions. Speak to things that resonate with them as humans first. Emotions, whatever it might be. Are you selling a product? Okay, what are you really selling? You're selling convenience. You're selling an easy delivery, an easy order, and reliability. You're selling peace of mind. Speak to that versus the actual tangible thing that's always right in front of you, so to say. And if you can always resonate with something that hits home, either the heart, the head, or other, from a human component, that's where you're going to win at marketing. Those messages win 10 out of 10 times versus a highly specified, very tangible, hey, here's our piece of software. That's amazing. It needs to be specific, don't get me wrong. But if that's all you talk about is, hey, our salient features are this, here's our speed, here's this, you're going to get caught in the weeds. You're going to compete with a ton of other brands that also say the same exact things, and you're going to be superficial. Whereas if you talk about emotions and emotional response, and you can invoke that in others, and talk about what you do and how you help them beyond the actual thing that you're providing, that's where you win, and things get a lot easier when you keep that perspective.
Dude, they do humanizing. It's anytime you see a good promo, something that you absolutely love, it made you laugh, it made you cry, it made you feel something, and that's what really made it stick. The information is great, learning stuff is amazing. We love to learn things, but if you can make me feel something, you're gonna win me over in a whole different level. So then, how do you balance like creative storytelling, but at the same time, data driven marketing?
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's a tough line to toe because obviously at the end of the day, you do have an initiative, you do have a goal, you do have to track those things. But I really think that the biggest difference is, example in one of our the brands, a bathtub refinishing business, liquid liner. Right. It's really hard to spruce up and talk about bathtubs 24/7. But I think when you break things down and it's, hey, liquid liner is a bathtub refinishing brand, and here's our features. It's safer, zero VOC, whatever it might be. When you talk about those things and it's very specific, and you talk to the end user, hey, how much value liquid liner saves you. Here's how much replacement costs are. You talk about those sort of things to the end user, and that's how you can sell on value. On the other end of the street, a lot of the times what I've realized is when you talk about those things that invoke emotion, when you try to resonate with those things, inadvertently, you're still going to fall to the data. You're still going to look at the data from lists to ideal client profiles to messaging to response to hooks to whatever else it is. If you just use the emotional side of things in addition to those data points for hooks or whatever else it might be, that's where it really comes together. So finding that line, super tough. I'm not going to pretend that it's not, but if you do enough tests and if you have a good mission behind you, I think a lot of the times when you see brands that struggle to articulate and toe that line and they're always on, hey, here's our numbers, we don't care about anything else. Listen, as far as speed and everything else that goes behind those things that are dependent on by the human touch of things, those brands are nothing but analytics. Don't get me wrong, we love analytics, we run off of them too. Those brands are going to struggle to adapt, to do anything, to spread a new message. If there's a pivot involved, it is a full-fledged overhaul. Whereas if you talk about less of the what's in front of you and slightly behind the scenes from the emotional side on top of the analytics side, that's where you're going to have success.
Those analytics, you can't hide from him. The data is gonna tell you so many different things. You might have a creative that is that is very flexible, but as soon as you put it out in the market, the data is gonna tell you how good it actually was and what converts. I know, being in the marketing space, there's some times where you'll create an ad where you think this is gonna hit, this is gonna take off. You run it and crickets, right? And then the other one where you just a little selfie thing real quick, and all of a sudden that thing takes off. Like you it's almost like you never really know. But we live in an era of like really short attention spans. Like we're swiping constantly, moving on to the next. And if people are just constantly moving, how do we separate ourselves? How does our brand stay memorable?
Yeah, that's a tough one because nowadays, only thing people want to see is stuff that they feel they connect with. And you said it, the quick videos, the quick selfies, the in the moment, the behind the scenes, those things resonate with people. Like yeah, of course, like the highly edited commercial, whatever it might be. Okay, that's amazing. But that's why reels, that's why all shorts, whatever else it is, that's why they're growing in popularity because people connect with those things. Everything in my messaging and everything that in my efforts come back to the human connection side of things. And I think a lot of the times, if you're able to see somebody's thought process and it's less salesy, if your breath smells like sales, people are going to pick up on that. If your messaging has that intent, people are going to pick it up. You're gone like right away. I have to give a quick shout out to my buddy Nate Eddy, who owns Forest.co, and his brand. All he does is humanize marketing for people, and I've learned so much from him and his partners because they really talk about the pathway and the journey of, hey, how do we articulate what we do, no matter what it is? Let's humanize things. So at the end of the day, if you have that element to it, that I think that it's going to be successful, but it is going to be challenging to find that fit unless you truly understand why you do what you do.
Now, we've talked a lot about humanizing things and making you feel an emotion, but AI has a huge part to do with what we're doing in marketing nowadays. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing when it comes to using AI to help increase conversions.
So first with AI, we love AI. I use AI every single day. I used it seconds before this pod here. Like that's literally my search browser. And for us, we look at it first to quality of life, right? We look at it from a team perspective and automating everything else. Okay, are the human tasks that it could replace or be better? The answer is yes, 10 times out of 10. There's so many, and that quality of life is going to show through. However, on the other side of the street, from crunchy numbers to whatever it might be, list building, sorting, whatever, it's so much quicker. And so I think high level analytics from very direct AI, whatever it might be, from email campaigns to calls to clicks, doesn't matter. If you have the information right in front of you, you can make better decisions right away. You and I have probably had a lot of blunders where you said earlier, we think that we're so passionate about a certain campaign, a certain message, and all of a sudden it runs flat. Well, I think AI is improving the likelihood of us finding success in some of those things and having less of those blunders. We're still going to have a couple of them, don't get me wrong, but I think AI is improving this at scale where it is just improving the connection and it's taking the guesswork out of a lot of things. And also just this pairing and matching is probably the biggest thing that AI is good at as far as the marketing component goes. Just really crunching the data, knowing who that end user is.
Now, AI is definitely one of the greatest tools to come about. It might take over a lot of jobs. I know there's a lot of people worried about certain positions going away. I'm of the mindset where it's going to make you better because you have access to the tools versus having an agency that doesn't have these things. But at the same time, there are many aspects that you can utilize AI on, many aspects that you can utilize the human aspect on. And when it comes to branding, part of it is the marketing. We like to think of it as the organic stuff. What about the paid ad stuff? How do we parallel, paid ads into our marketing campaign?
Yeah, so paid ads, at the end of the day, I think so. AI definitely does move things along quickly, and we're seeing more and more of it. You mentioned something around AI taking jobs. I think it could be the opposite. Yes, AI is going to completely just roll over certain categories and needs that jobs 5 years ago they're not going to exist in a year because of it. However, if we look at that from a pessimistic stance, you know, AI is meant to empower, not replace, but that does require us to adapt, right? Like we have to get up to speed on these things. And as far as the other side, any sort of paid ads or whatever it might be, at the end of the day, again, it comes back down to data and just having analytics right in front of you, right? And so you kind of have this fear mindset around AI and seeing what it can be, and then you have this dire need, but also these things that have always worked. Hey, like Google placement, what's your click through, what's your landing. Today I was just looking at it's not directly PPC, or I'm sorry, click ads. I was looking at our call center analytics, and I was using Ring Central today and testing out some of their AI functions around analytics. So in a nutshell, everything is on the table when it comes to marketing in 2025. It's insane, and we could spend an hour and a half on this subject, to be honest with you.
What advice would you give someone trying to do all this DIY? I know we have AI out there. I know it's going to help us answer a lot of questions, and there are a lot of startup guys that are just going to try to take it on themselves. If you're trying to give someone some advice that's going to go the DIY route, what would that be?
DIY, it's tough. It's essential at first. I think that look at it like a journey, right? So the first half of it, you should probably be hands on. You should probably test your messaging. You should probably test what you're doing and all those kind of things. At some point, you just have to be really honest with yourself as an entrepreneur. What are you good at? What are you bad at? And we're all terrible at some things, myself included. I have ran a lot of different companies. I've been a part of a lot of organizations on the Inc. 5000 list and things like this. And I think that as I get older, right, and as I get more experience in that realm, I have to be very brutally honest about what are my highest valuable tasks that I can provide and do, and what things should I delegate because I'm the least qualified person to talk to or talk of or spend my time on. Even if I'm okay with those things, I'm probably better off reaching out to somebody that's really good at those or connecting with them or getting their opinion or what have you. At some point, you do need to either delegate that or partner with somebody that is their whole entire world, because as your brand grows, as your marketing grows, your budgets grow, you only have so much bandwidth in a day, and you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You're going to have to find smart people around you to keep that optimization going, because I promise you, you're going to run out of bandwidth eventually. Your fuse is only so long, and the more that is required of you, you're going to realize very quickly you better hope that you have a good cast around you. So I think at some point it's inevitable. You absolutely need to outsource or partner with somebody that lives that world. And then the argument is, well, what about if you just in-house it? You could also do that, and I think that's probably phase three, but that's a tall hill to climb. So I'm all for partnering. By example, I probably have over 15 consultants that work with us, just to keep things moving along. We focus on what we're good at, and we tap in our partners around us when we know that it's just better off that way. So I am all for calling in friends and family or whatever else it might be when that time comes.
I've started a lot of little businesses, and every time I have a business on my own, I always hit a plateau when it comes to revenue. The first time I was able to break $1 million in revenue, it was because I partnered with people. And that's the whole concept there. Like, you might be a 10 at a certain thing, but you might be a 5 at those other stuff. And if you can find the people to supplement those things that you're weak at, where you're a 5, find 10 players in those areas, your grades are just going to go up for every single category. Your business is going to go and fast forward, and you're going to see that scale factor go up. I 100% agree with you. It's good to know a lot of the stuff, but be able to come to the realization that delegating to someone who's really good at it, that's going to get you the results you're looking for. And speaking of which, walk me through the process that a client would go through working with you, from like discovery call to final product.
Yeah, so it depends on how we connect, right? And so if they are truly inbound, yeah, and although we use AI and all these kind of things, again, it comes back down to if we can get somebody calling, connecting with us, talking with us, that's where we decide that we win there. The numbers show that we win there as much as possible, and so that initial intake is just a connection, and we try to be very clear on, hey, understanding who's the party that we're partnering with, what do they do, what are they trying to do, and once we have a thorough understanding about them, we then ask ourselves and we articulate, hey, are we the best fit for this person? And that's tough to do as a younger company because you want all business. But as you kind of climb this mountain, you realize that, hey, I want to add a lot of value, not a lot of busyness, right? And I want to make sure that the other party really is getting the results that they want. I think probably not a lot of people spend enough time on that initial discovery because it's so sales oriented, right? Where they pick up the phone, they got the name, the email, hey, here you go, like we're good. Here's the, let's partner. They need to tap the brakes there for a little bit and just truly understand, what is this other person trying to get out of it? Can we provide an impact that's meaningful? That is most of our engagement. That is most of it. And naturally, while we're doing that discovery, we're building rapport, we're connecting, we are helping them through this decision process. We're being upfront with them about, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's how we can do it. We're very good at these things, and you're probably better off partnering somebody else if this is the category that you're looking at. It's just, again, that human side of things while also taking them through the sales cycle. And after that whole process goes, and it's a go on both sides. We measure the results, what we think we can do. We show them some things that we've been a part of, and we say, okay, hey, next, obviously we do the onboarding. We show about us. We try to connect a little bit more there. A lot of video if we can, and then it's the normal. Hey, here's your account manager. Here's numbers here, support lines, you name it. But that doesn't stop there. We keep it going, right? At some point, we eventually say, hey, project is done. We're here for you. Call us and check in with us. We'll check on you, whatever it might be. We just try to stay connected and be good partners, regardless if we can make a massive impact or not, if they're a client or not. And I know at some point you got to be selective on where your time goes. So, we're not in the business of charity, so to say. But at the same time, if you take care of people and you walk them through this process and you're there for them from the beginning to afterwards, things come full circle, man. Like that's where people really listen, and that's where you win a lot of votes, so to say, just by caring for people. And we try to resonate with that. We try to do that throughout the whole entire intake process.
You definitely share some great tidbits here on today's episode. So if people want to reach out, they want to find out more about working with an agency like yours so they can have a 10 in marketing in their business, how can they do that?
So the best way to get a hold of me is turnserve.com, TURNSERV.com. We do a lot of things. It's my business is unique. We speak to a lot of different needs, from the branding and marketing to the actual fulfillment. We have numerous kind of brands on our platform, and so we're trying to make as big as impact as we can and be helpful as much as possible. So turnserve.com is the best way. I'm all over LinkedIn as well. Just Tyler Dunagin on LinkedIn, and from service businesses to supply to marketing to branding, you name it. I'm just around the space, guys. So, get at me and I would love to talk to you. Regardless if you end up being a client or not, it does not matter to me. I just want to network and do cool things with cool people.
That's it. That's what it's all about. You never know what's going to spark when you have a conversation with a professional. And I get it, ladies and gentlemen, marketing, it does cost money, but that's the only way you're going to grow. If you are building a business and the only way you're grabbing clients is by referral, that is a hope strategy, and that is not a strategy that's going to get you to that $1 million in revenue. I mean, very, very few times. I'm not going to say never, but for the most part, 99% of the time, it's not going to get you there. You need to work with people who are doing a good job. And one of the greatest things about working with a marketing agency is oftentimes you do have an ROI that you can measure. They'll help you kind of categorize what you're going for, figure out where you are today, where you want to go, and put a strategy together to get you there. So make sure you guys check out turnserve.com. Turnserve.com is scrolling at the bottom. And check out Tyler on LinkedIn. Shoot him a DM, figure out what he's up to and see if he's a professional you want to work with. You never know until you have the conversation. See if you guys connect and go from there. At Tyler Dunagin on LinkedIn. Tyler, thank you very much for being on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you guys on this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.